It's a wild through a goal, slots it beyond Fodringer, and the Millers are in front in the South Yorkshire derby. And for the first time in 42 years, Rotherham United win at Bramall Lane. On the edge of the box for Doffin, he can hit them, and he does. The Doffin has scored an absolute screamer for Rotherham United. Rotherham United have secured their championship status for next season.
Do me a favour, drop me off in Rotherham.
Good afternoon. Welcome to New York Talk. This is the Rotherham United podcast. Happy New Year. And we enter 2024 with a point. Yeah. We will look back at that. It feels like ages ago, that's honest, that New Year's Day game. But we'll look back at the Blackburn game. Some real positives to take out of that game. And we'll look ahead to the inevitable third round defeat, the annual FA Cup third round defeat, as it should be known for Rotherham United. Away at Fulham on Friday evening. Mick is back with us. How was North Wales, Mick? Everybody missed you.
Cold, wet, windy, and not there for very long for that very reason.
Fair enough. Glad to have you back. Joy's back with us. How you doing, Joy?
Fine, thank you. Happy New Year, everybody.
Thank you. Good to have you back with us. People in the comments, Sarah O'Dern, Cheryl says Happy New Year. Connor Simpson, Noel Jordan's with us. Jamie's with us, as is Neil Liversidge. Happy New Year to everybody, he says as well. Happy New Year, everybody. It's good to be back. We can only start with the Blackburn game. New Year's Day, a point. Around stretches. It now puts us on a 3-game unbeaten run. I don't think you can stretch to 3 games, can you? I don't think that counts just yet. But mate, we'll talk about that specifics in a moment. But a good point, and could have been more. Probably
should have been, arguably. Not necessarily on the balance of play, but on the chances created. Arguably, it should have been more. Yeah. I came away slightly disappointed, if I'm honest, which is a bit strange. But I think overall, like I say, on the balance of the chances created, we deserved to get something out of the game, certainly. So performance-wise, for the most part, it was okay, weren't it? You know, there were periods where we let them dictate the game, but they didn't create masses realistically not after the first 20 minutes or so anyway. So yeah, it's a good point. You've got to be pleased with that. You've got to be pleased with point on the road anytime, really.
Yeah. Neil Liversidge, Powermed UK, and Kim Hayward's with us. Tom Smith says Happy New Year. He's in the room. We start as well. Shelley says here, Joy, that defending is still suspect. Both goals were considered very sloppy. Start the first one, which you could lay the blame at a couple of people, but the easiest one to lay the blame at is sadly Dexter, who's got himself in a great position. He's got himself between the man and the ball, and he just sort of lets the man go past him. And it's so it just felt schoolboy, and they were on top. It was really important to try and hold stead and keep them at bay, and then it just almost let them in. It was really poor bit of defending that from Dexter. And
unfortunately, it's not the first one, is it? Recently, unfortunately, for Dexter. I mean, and he's a kid though, isn't he? He's still a teenager, isn't he? Or is he just you know? I like we said, you know, both goals you could argue were, you know, well, they were sloppy defending, and that's been basically the story of this season thus far, at least recently. A lot of the goals that we've conceded have been partly down to our own making, haven't they? You know, you could argue that one on Friday wasn't, but that was just bad luck. But it's like you take 2 steps, you know, 1 step forward and 2 steps back again, isn't it? You know, I think the performances are coming; they're definitely improving. I feel like I've found my Rotherham United again. My Millers seem to be back in the house, as it were. If we could just shore up it's not so much the central defence now, is it? Because we seem to have fallen on a good pairing with Hacks and Morrison. I mean, and Morrison's really come to the party in the last few games. I mean, it is what it is with him. You know, he's of a certain age and he's not got that turn of pace, but he does read the game. really, you know, well, and he's, you know, for the blocks he's put in recently, and the positioning is quite good. But it's our fullbacks. So, you know, Revan was obviously, yeah, you know, he was the one that sent in that beaut of a cross.
Oh yeah.
For Thomas to stoop and conquer, and yeah, so I think it's at fullback where we're lacking, even though it's centre back where we've not got the bodies, if it were. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Let's stick on Dexter for a minute, because there are some rumours going around that Dexter could be leaving us, and I'm trying to find a way to be kind about this, Mick, but it blows my mind that he's been linked to Norwich and Middlesbrough and Ipswich and other teams like this. I think I've said it before on the podcast. I think Dexter's going to be a good player. He's got everything. He's all there. But if I'm going for promotion, if I'm in second place in the league and I need to be better, Dexter Lembakisa not the right signing. If I'm going to play after that, I don't even think he's the right signing, to be honest with you. He's got. I thought we would send him back and he'd probably end up at Barnsley or Peterborough, something like, you know, League One, and just get some proper games in your belt, get some good form, and then Championship next season. How would you feel about Dexter potentially going to higher in the Championship?
Difficult. I mean, it depends what support he's going to get. You know, he has sometimes, or a lot of the time, down to his own inexperience, been left exposed a lot. Things are touring up on both sides, particularly at Blackburn, and he's not been able to deal with it, but he has been left exposed. You know, he's been left with two men at Blackburn on Saturday, on whatever day it was, on New Year's Day. We'll settle with that, shall we? Yeah. He was left exposed regularly with two men and no support. So I guess it depends how the organisation of the team that he's going to go to, if he goes, should he go, you know, how organised they are in that respect. But I agree with you. He's a young lad. He's a young lad, and he's been thrown in at the deep end this season. I think the IUFC put out on Twitter, him and Hugo are the only two players this season that have been available for every game. I mean, I don't think he's not played in every game, but pretty much, you know. And for a lad of that age, and crucially that experience, I think it's been a baptism of fire for him. And he has made mistakes. He's going to make mistakes. He's bound to, because of what I've just said there, age and experience. So whether he can cut it at the top end of the division depends what people want him for, doesn't it? You know, if they want him from going for his forward runs, then yeah, I can see that. But defensively, unfortunately, he's quite naive. So we'll have to wait and see whether Wolves do recall him and send him somewhere else. I mean, that happened with Brook Norton-Cuffy, didn't it?
Yeah.
Last time, or was it last year or
last year, yeah.
Whenever it was. And he went on to do all right. You know, he didn't go on, or hasn't gone on, to become the Premier League player that everybody, particularly at Arsenal, anticipated that he would be. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see on that. But for me, he'd probably better off staying here, or, as you said, getting some experience lower down the leagues. But if he stays with us, we've now got Kyoso back, so he's got some competition for places and also somebody to learn from. You know, we haven't got another right wing back at the club, which makes the decision to send Kyoso out in the summer even more baffling, really. So we'll have to wait and see what Wolves decide to do. I suspect they probably will recall him, but we'll see, won't we? But I don't like the grief he gets on social media. You know, some of the comments are just ridiculous. You know, worst player that we've ever had, and all this nonsense. It's embarrassing, really. He's a quality footballer, but he's very, very young and very inexperienced. So let's wait and see what Wolves decide to do. I'd keep him personally, if we can.
Yeah, but with Kyoso, Joe, if Kyoso's coming in, that means Dexter's, assuming Kyoso stays with us, which is what we're assuming at the minute, then Dexter's minutes are going to be more limited than they were. He won't be. He was having to play every minute because of Curso going out. Happy with Curso coming back, or just expected as it should have never gone in the first place?
Well, I was expecting him to come back under the situation we've found ourselves in defence. Like a lot of people at the time in the summer, it was a bit perplexing to see him going off to Peterborough. But we don't know what's happening behind the scenes, do we? We just don't know. But he's back now. Whether depends on who you read, listen, or what have you. They want him at Peterborough. I suspect if Ivan Toney moves to Arsenal, they might find themselves with a few bob in the back pocket and might come back in. Who knows? But we'll wait and see, because there's a different gaffer now in Liam Richardson. He might be the one that persuades him that staying at Rotherham is where he needs to be, and put his arm around him, and because he's still got quite a lot of the contract. Is it not till next year, isn't it?
18 months left, I think.
Yeah. So he's got quite a significant amount of time left to be with us if it pans out that way. We'll just have to wait and see. But I mean, I never saw any issue when I saw Curso play. I mean, I think the last time I saw him play to any great effect was that game before the World Cup break at Luton. And he had a really good game. I know that was his old club, but I never saw anything that warranted him being shipped out in the summer, to be honest, in terms of performance. And like we've said, unless they thought that Dexter was an improvement, or there was something behind the scenes, it was just a perplexing decision to let him go, I thought at the time. Still do. But he's back now. Let's see.
Yeah.
Plans out.
Exactly. Obviously, it's that upset some Peterborough fans who don't understand how the loan market works. There you go.
Maybe Dara needs Peterborough.
Maybe Dara needs to get the guy at Barnsley who agreed the McCart deal to do the next loan deal they have from us, so we can't recall him. We'll maybe come on to that. We'll talk about transfer stuff in a minute. Yeah, we'll talk about transfer in a minute, Mick. We'll skip forward from in the Blackburn game to the second goal, our second goal. It was a first start for Tom Eaves, and I haven't done the stats, but it may well be the first start since Blackburn last season, because he started at Blackburn last season. He certainly said in his interview that he'd not started a game in 2023. Talk to me about Tom Eaves, Mick, because it was a great header. Talked about his jumbo performance, though. Was it? He came in for Hugo. What are you happy with? Ignore the fact he scored a goal. Are you happy with how Tom Eaves performed?
Yeah, pretty much. He's like a Jordan Hugo, but with pace, isn't he? He's a lot quicker than Hugo. He needs some sharpness. He needs some match sharpness, as that horrendous miss that he had proves. How he missed that, he bent the laws of physics to get that ball over the bar from where he made contact with it. But I have no issue with him starting. He's done well. He's put himself about. He's held the ball up well. He's quicker at laying the ball off than Jordan Hugo is. And if I've got criticism of Hugo, that is one of them. When he does hold he holds it up really, really well, but then he misses 3 or 4 passes and runs into trouble often, and sometimes we end up losing the ball. Whereas with Eaves, he's a lot quicker to get that ball back into the ball comes up to him and he gets it back into a kind of safe space, if you like, better than Hugo has been doing. So and with some match sharpness, he'll do better. How good he is in terms of finishing, if you compare the two, is perhaps up for debate. We've not seen enough of Tom Eaves to be able to make any sort of comment on that. Really, he's had a bad time while he's been with us in terms of injury, and probably falling out of favour with a couple of managers, perhaps. Certainly the last one. So whereas Liam Richardson obviously feels that he's got a part to play, and he has got a part to play, there's no doubt. So I thought his performance was decent, pretty decent. And I suppose if you factor into that he's not played for 12 months, his performance was very good on that basis. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see whether he gets more game time and how he develops, or how he not develops, because he's past the development stage, isn't he? But you know, how he sort of grows into the team, and how much sharper he gets in front of goal.
Yeah, sharpness is a key word, I think, Joy, because strikers are a unique breed of footballer. They're almost different to anybody else on the pitch, that strikers need to play, because they need to have that touch of the ball, and they need to find the back of the net, this, that, and the other. And it's completely understandable that Eaves is going to be blunt and things like that, but he is finding the back of the net 2 in 3 games, whatever it is, for the away performances. He could solve a problem we didn't know we needed. We don't need another striker in the transfer window, because we've got 3 now that are contributing quite well. So he solves a little bit of a problem that may have cropped up this month.
I mean, I saw one stat that said, isn't he scoring equivalent to 1 in every 90 minutes at the moment, or something? It's in the last 6 games or something. Yeah, I saw something like that, which is like ridiculous, isn't it? That's quite, that's a good return for your starts, whether that's on sub or from the beginning. But it's like anything else. The more he plays, the quicker his reactions are going to be. His twitch muscles are going to be firing. He might not put them over the bar. I mean, and that was a cracking header. It wasn't an easy one to score. So, and it was Johnny on the spot when he scored that one into the roof of the net when we lost the other week. So it's not that he hasn't got that ability. He obviously has. I mean, some teams have seen it and scored a hatful at Gillingham. I know at a lower level, but he is a striker. That is his profession, and he must be chomping at the bit. Must be absolutely chomping at the bit to be part of the team and to show what he can do.
Yeah, he seems happy. Seems happy. We didn't see him before, but in the interviews he's done, he just seems like he's got a spring in his step. The way he talks and everything, he just seems a positive guy, and that's why we're all desperate for him to do quite well. And he's a Rotherham player. We all want Rotherham players to do quite well. The goal itself, Mick, you could pick out what's better: the cross by Revan or the header by Eaves, because that was a wonderful ball by Revan.
As soon as it left his foot, that got goal written all over it, and that cross. It was beautiful. The goalkeeper couldn't come for it. It was in between the 2 defenders. The defender who was marking Eaves was never going to beat him to that ball, given Eaves' size and determination to get to it. And it was a great finish. The TV cameras don't do it justice at all. Looking at the replays on TV, there looks to be nothing to it at all. But the cross is an absolute peach, and the power and strength of Eaves to get to that ball ahead of the defender and then finish it was excellent. It was a really, really good goal, and reasonably well worked as well in the build up to it. It wasn't just some sort of long hopeful ball. It's quite a well worked goal. So yeah, really positive, and great for him. And had he scored that goal earlier in the game, I think the other 2 chances that he didn't put away, he probably would have done, because it would have given him that sort of that boost. It's just a shame it came as late as it did, but because he missed a header in the first half as well. I think it was that really he should have at least got on target. So really good for him, and great from Seb Revan as well. That cross was beautiful, thing of beauty.
Absolutely. Nick says Eaves seems to get into good areas though where Hugill doesn't. If he misses some, but getting in the right areas, eventually the goals will come. Yeah, they will. Yeah, he does seem better in the box than Hugill. That's mobility though, isn't it? I think Hugill's less mobile, and I think that's why Eaves does him on that one. Andrew Lang says, another Eaves could have had a hat-trick. There was some missed chances under the bar. The goal, the header, the one that flashed wide. Great to see him scoring and looking more confident. Scott can see he did a brilliant job, and he doesn't go to the floor with the slightest nudges like Hugill. He did get ragged around somewhat rotten. They didn't get a single foul, didn't he? To be fair, Eaves.
He did, yeah.
Yeah. John Morel says sounds like Jukovic for him. Mrs. Absolute Sitters, but then we'll score a worldie of a header.
Yeah.
That's Tom Eaves. Tom Eaves.
I mean, I've not seen a lot of Jukovic for Birmingham, but they seem, on the face of it, to be very similar sorts of players. You know, they will score your goals. They're not going to set the world on fire, but they're important players. You know, Jukovic for Birmingham, whilst he may not be a favourite, he has been a very, very important player for them over the seasons. And Tom Eaves is, like I said, very similar. So hopefully he can be important for us this season.
Absolutely. Moving back to the first goal, our first goal, Joy. Sean Morrison, first league goal for Sean Morrison for the club. We're starting to look really dangerous from set piece. I don't know whether it's Blackburn not being very good or whether we've just sort of hit the mark, or is it Clucas? Because it's probably Clucas, isn't it? Because his set pieces seem wonderful so far, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, I think since Clucas has come back for the last couple of games, it's made quite a significant difference with that ability to deliver a pinpoint ball at pace. You know, and the delivery is quite different. Sometimes he does them hard and flat and fast. Sometimes they're sort of air balls, as I call them, you know. So it must be a delight for those guys who are likely to get on the end of them, you know. I mean, and it was a good header from Morrison, wasn't it? It wasn't straightforward, you know. And if we're getting in these positions, it all augurs well going forward, doesn't it? We weren't getting these chances. I mean, to be honest, when we used to get corners or free kicks out wide, I used to think it's a waste of time. Nothing's going to amount from this. But we seem to be getting some positives from them now moving forward, which is all good. And is this the new guy? You know, is this Liam?
Yeah.
You just don't know what's happened behind the scenes, because it just seems, I know we're bottom, and I know we're bottom by a significant number of points, but I feel a lot brighter. I feel a heck of a lot brighter than I did, 6 weeks ago. Significantly so, because the team seemed to be performing as a team and not but a group of strangers for a start. And and as well as Clucas coming back, it's allowed for the other midfielders to be given a rest who were looking a bit jaded, because we're having to rely on Lindsay, who'd only just come back from injury, and Ollie, who with his gameplay, you know, is going to run himself ragged every match. So it gives us more opportunity. Plus with Cafu coming back as well. Again, I think it's going to take a little bit more time for him to get back into it after injury. I mean, and I think the jury's still out on him. I mean, at the beginning of the season, when we were playing that passing game, he was, class player. And he's another one that's got spot on delivery from set pieces and that ability to shoot as well. So let's see what happens with how Richardson's going to use him in the coming matches. I think tomorrow's going to be interesting to see who gets the game, because he might put people who've sort of been more on the bench, maybe Cafu, Clucas, maybe not, I don't know, because obviously you need some sort of defensive role or a Ratter in there as well with them. So it'll be interesting whether he puts Lindsay or gives Rathbone a rest and puts Lindsay in, or vice versa.
Yeah, well, Scott Kent with a very, very high bit of praise. Clucas' left foot is like Pringles was a wand. Yeah, but Brendan Pringle's left foot is the best left foot I've seen at the club. So that's high praise. Joy's right, Mick, because Clucas came in. We've rinsed Jamie Lindsay for everything he's worth since he's came back from an injury, which is not a clever thing to do. You shouldn't be doing that when he comes back from that kind of injury, but we've had to. And Clucas coming, not only is Clucas a brilliant player, it allowed Jamie Lindsay to come out, and it allowed Ollie to come off. I think Ollie came off a bit earlier for Lindsay to come on. Yeah, it allows you to. Matt Hill used that word of offsetting the minutes. And that's what it is. You need to allow Lindsay to have those minutes off, and allow Rathbone to have those minutes off, and Cafu to gradually get those minutes back in the pitch. But he's not just he's not an 18-year-old kid that we're just going, please just hold down the fort. He's a quality operator that we're asking to do this as well. It's a great player. I love him.
Yeah, he is. You can see why he's gone for so much money in his career, can't you? It is quality. And if we can get him ticking like he did on New Year's Day against Blackburn, he kind of ran that midfield. He was hugely influential in the way that we played. and at the centre of things, and he's a bit of a leader in there as well. So because of his experience, so yeah. And when Cafu came on, I thought he was very impressive as well. He looked like a man playing for his place. You know, he didn't look like that Cafu who got a bit Portuguese on us earlier in the season, you know, and kind of just disappeared and sulked a bit when he was playing out wide on left for obvious reasons. So yeah, he is those two in the centre of that midfield with Tahi behind him could be a hell of a midfield if they're if all three of them are playing to their level. Somebody's mentioned Tahi in the comments. He is quality. He is absolute quality. You don't see a lot of the work that he does, but he's calm, cool, collected on the ball. He's composed. He gets himself stuck in. He can play a pass. He's an excellent player. And you put those three together, plus another in that midfield, whether it be Rathbone, whether it be Lindsay, hopefully a Dauphin. You know, it brings you a solid and creative and hard-working midfield four. And you know, it'd be great to see them all play together. And hopefully Liam Richardson will be working towards that. So, but yeah, his quality is Clucas, no doubt about it.
Yeah. Shelley says Cafu looked like a man possessed, wanted every ball and looked like a point to prove.
Yeah.
Cafu's one of those players that he needs work on him in terms of, I think, personality-wise. He needs somebody who can gaffer him, and if you can gaffer him, he'll be just one of the best players in the league. He's got that ability. It's just nobody, you know, people have clearly struggled to get out of him. So if Liam Richard can do that, well, we will be cooking on gas. Sarah Ogden says all he asks for is wear the shirt with pride. If we're not good enough, then fine. Correct. Completely agree. Let's go back a bit again, Joe, to what's cost us the game, and that's the 2 goals that we've conceded. We talked about the Dexter mistake. But the second one's almost as frustrating because it was 30 seconds into the second half. We'd got ourselves back in. We'd weathered the storm because they were brilliant for 25 minutes, Blackburn. They were all over us. We'd weathered the storm, got back into the game, and in the 30-second second half, you're 2-1 down. And it was just such an easy. It was Rotherham United from 2-3 months ago, that second goal. And that's still in there. The worry is that's still in there for us, isn't it? And we've got to kick that out. That was too easy for Blackburn.
Yeah, and this is what we were touched on early in the conversation. It's these sloppy defensive lapses. And I've noticed we do that quite a lot, either at the beginning or the end of a half. End of they seem to be our red danger area moments at this point in time. I mean, yes, we can argue that we've got a makeshift defence and have had for virtually the whole season with chopping and changing of personnel, but you know, we've just got to cut out these daft mistakes, and it's in the mindset, I think, and hopefully Liam Richardson does come across as somebody who would get the guys to, you know, work on that aspect of the game, to be, you know, in there all the time, to be thinking, you know, you've not just wandered on and you've got to, you know, you're playing for 100 minutes now, not just for 40 minutes in the first half or 35 minutes in second half. You've got to be turned on for the whole match. So hopefully that sort of psychological aspect will be being worked on with the guys. I have seen improvement. I mean, I don't think the goals that we are letting in, yes, they are sloppy, and we think, oh, you know, we could maybe do better. But given the personnel, maybe we can't do better. I don't know. I know that might sound counterintuitive, but we've touched on Dexter being a young, naive guy. You know, Revan on the other side is not that much older.
He's not, no.
You know, and his experience is that much greater. And you know, he's dropped a couple of ricks as well as Dexter has too. And this is what I was saying earlier. I think they are our key areas where we need to be looking to bolster the team, is in the full back positions, because we haven't got anybody else that I'm aware of that can step into those 2 roles.
No, well, I'll come on to Bowler later on. We were going to talk about Bowler. Yeah. I'll pick him up in a bit. But back to positives, Mick. and we've got to talk about Sean Morrison. He got the goal, which was a typical Sean Morrison goal, really. But he's played basically every minute of this Christmas period, which feels a bit like a Christmas miracle, to be honest with you, because I never would have thought that would happen with him. He's got his issues, he's turning circle the tanker and all these other things, but he has turned into that Richard Wood type figure. That block in the first half where he just threw his head at the ball,
ridiculous.
That's what we want from you. That's what you want as a captain. You'd follow him, that kind of guy anywhere, wouldn't you? And we're finally starting to. It took time, and again, to credit to Matt Taylor said we'd have to deal with some crap before we got the real Sean Morrison, and that's turned out to be absolutely right, because he is exactly where we want him to be right now.
Oh God, yeah, he is. He's a man mountain back there, isn't he? And I said on the Watford game when he was substituted that I felt that his heart wasn't in it when he went off, and I kind of regret saying that now, because I was very, very, very wrong, quite clearly, so whether that's an injury or what it is, or just me being a bit stupid, which is not unheard of, I'll be honest. But yeah, his performances over the last few games have been fantastic. And you're right, to liken him to Richard Wood, he is that type of footballer. He's not gonna beat somebody for pace, unless it's a Jordan Hugill type striker, but that's not his job. He's got Hacks back there, he's got Revan back there, he's got Bramall back there to give him that sort of support. But what he will do is he'll win your balls in the air, he will lead, he'll put those difficult blocks in. So yeah, it's good to have him here with his experience, as well as coupled with everything I've just said there, at this level. So yeah, hopefully he can maintain his fitness for the rest of the season, and when we start to get players back like Cam Humphreys, that defense will start to really, really look a lot better. Getting Cam Humphreys back would be just amazing, because it'll allow Revan to slip further out wide, and it would just shore up that defense massively, hugely. I know I keep banging on to it about it, but those two injuries probably will cost us our season, or certainly put us in the position, contributed massively to the position that we're in now. So if we could start to get to players like him back as well, it's going to help the likes of Morrison to sort of last the season out.
Yeah. John Morrison says, Mick wrong, I'm sat in utter shock. Yeah.
I don't know whether I like that, actually.
Shell Stones and Morrison was praising the medical staff for enabling him to play so many minutes. Yeah, I think it's another example. It's another of the Richard Wood thing, Joy, where if you see your captain playing through the pain or playing through games you don't expect to play, it should, and it seems to have lifted everybody else's games a little bit, because they're following that example. Clucas coming off injuries, Jamie Lindsay coming off injuries. This could, for me, I'm looking at it from the outside, this might be wrong, but I would want to play a bit better for those guys that have put themselves to the pain barrier. And I suppose that's what a leader does, and he is leading by example at the minute, Sean Morrison.
Yeah, and this is it. I mean, we have had a horrendous injury list, haven't we? I mean, I can't personally remember one as bad as this. When you only got 4 people on the bench and half of them are the kids. It's been horrendous, and we shouldn't make that as an excuse. But that's the heart ripped out of a side, isn't it? Out of your team. You've missed Morrison. I mean, we've not only lost Cam Humphreys, we lost Tyler Blackett, who was putting performances in as well. We've not seen Shane Ferguson, have we, at all this year? No. Andre Green came in, did a little bit of pirouetting, and disappeared with a bad ankle. Who else have we got at? We've just, it's ridiculous. Peltier, in and out. Grant Hall. What's that about him being paid off? Is that the new rumour as well, about him being mutually paid off to, nobody knows what's wrong with him.
No.
So, we've not had a full team, have we? No. And then we've had Cafu out, we've had Lindsay. Lindsay wasn't with us at the start of the season because he got injured pre-season. Clucas then had a spell on the sidelines. Onyedinma, he's been out for the last month or so. So we've still got half a team to come back.
I know.
So maybe that's the positive.
Yeah.
If they
Probably more than half.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. Yeah. Anything else from the Blackburn game that we want to mention? We'll preview the FA Cup and we'll have a bit of transfer chat because Nick loves that bit.
No, I think we've pretty much covered it, haven't we? Yeah.
Cool. Right, let's do McCart stuff now, and we'll tick that off and cover it. Sarah Ogden says, "What about the poor loan contract deal, Ari? McCart, having spoke to the Barnsley fan today, and he feels McCart is awful and wants him to come back. Fair enough. This is if we hadn't had any injuries, Mick, this would be irrelevant, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
The fact that we got loads of injuries, and do we want you? Would you if you had free reign and we had enough defenders, would you be recalling Jamie McCart right now?
No, you wouldn't, would you? There would be no need to, because if we've got a full complement of full squad, uninjured, you wouldn't need to, because we've got sufficient cover in there, so long as all 4, 5, 6 of them don't get injured at once, which is essentially what happened. So hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it? You know, and I don't know why that loan deal has been made the way it's been made, but at the time that it was made, I don't think anybody had given it a second glance, you know. But it's dead easy now with the injuries that we've got to know it was stupid. But it wasn't at the time, but things change. So had we got a full complement, no, I wouldn't be recalling him. Would I recall him now? It depends on where we are with the injuries that we do have, how close they are to getting back, how confident we are that the players that are still fully fit can remain so, or are they carrying knocks, or are they carrying something that may cause a problem. Obviously, you can't predict injuries out of the blue like Cam Humphries got, but you know that I was going to say they're once in a season injuries, but then 2 weeks later the same thing happens to a different player, so they're obviously not. But you know, no, I won't call him back if we had all our players. Given the situation we're in, it would have been better for us to be able to recall him, but we can't, so we have to move on, don't we?
You also got to bear in mind, Joy, that it's the transfer window, so that allows us to bring other people in. I know if we'd have recalled Jamie McCart and then signed 3 centre halves, but he's played a game for us, well, then we're stuffed, because we've got Jamie McCart who can only go back to Barnsley, who might not want him back because they might have replaced him, and then we've got 3 more players in. So we probably should have just put a recall in, but I'm not convinced it's as bad a decision as people are making out to be. What do you reckon?
I think I agree with you, Matt. The thing is, Richardson's already said that he's in the market for a centre-back, isn't he? Whether that's perm or loan. So he's obviously looking at that position, because we've got a dearth of centre-backs. So McCart coming back is a bit of a moot point, really, then, isn't it, at the end of the day?
Yeah.
And I mean, that's interesting, the comment about Barnsley fans saying they wanted us to take him back. But at the end of the day, they make the decision for him to stay.
Yeah.
So go figure.
Yeah. Sarah says she wouldn't recall. Adrak agrees with us, but that's not the point. I see what you're saying, yeah. But it's football. You've got to gamble. But if we hadn't put this clause in, you don't know that Barnsley might have said, no, do you know what? We don't want this deal because you're going to take him back in January. And then he might have been here and probably got injured because he's Rotherham United. John says here, with our looking defenders and injuries, he would get injured on the journey back to Rotherham.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Probably true. I'm just waiting for Kyoso to do his hamstring and be done for the season, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
In the next few days. So, yeah. I don't think any of us would pick Jamie McCart to start. Based on what we've seen, it may turn out to be a good defender, but based on what I've seen, I don't think we'd pick him to play. Certainly over Hacks or Sean Morrison, for example.
Or even Revin.
Rev's been brilliant. He's really improved.
Playing that position, and whilst he's not the tallest of blokes, it's not causing him a problem, is it?
No, I agree. So there you go. Let's move on to Fulham before we do anything else. So FA Cup third round weekend. Like it's I tweeted out, it's the excitement. It's the weekend you get excited and then get your hopes dashed. The good thing this year is we can get them dashed before the weekend starts, technically, on Friday night. rather than it ruining my Saturday afternoon. I've tried to look through the stats and try and find something to find a reason why we're going to win. I found a really... Everything I've found is really, really tenuous. But we're going with it. So we haven't gone past the third round in 21 years, 2002. 22 years, sorry. 22 years since the last time we ventured past the third round. That was the last time and only time we beat a Premier League team, which was Southampton at the time. When we beat Southampton, the season before, they finished 10th in the Premier League. Fulham finished 10th in the Premier League last season. I told you it was tenuous. There's that. The last time Tom Eaves played in an FA Cup game that involved Rotherham, he scored a hat-trick, and that was at New York Stadium for Hull. It was against Rotherham, obviously. But still, I haven't got anything positive. Joy, give me something positive about the FA Cup. Anything you can give us?
I can't. I haven't got anything for you, Matt. I've got no succor whatsoever for you. I mean, and the thing is, that Southampton game, we were at home as well, weren't we? So
that's true, yeah.
We're away. So and Fulham beat Arsenal last weekend, didn't they? So
we're going the opposite
we
direction.
play the same colours. You could, we play the same colours as Arsenal, don't we? So
true.
Perhaps that's a negative way to look at it.
So according to my research, we've reached the fourth round. Some symmetry here. Fourth round 4 times in 40 years. It's got something about it, hasn't it? We've reached that was 2002 and 1992 were the last 2 times we've reached the fourth round. First FA Cup meeting. The last time we won at Craven Cottage was 1992. We've won twice in 20 games at Craven Cottage. Anything positive, Mick?
What has any of that got to do with tomorrow?
I'm just trying to find some history that goes in our favour. I really struggled. I've really tried as well. You can tell by that. I've really tried to look for something, and there's just nothing there.
I mean, I don't want to be to sort of cut you down on, but it's a bit of a waste of time, isn't it? And you got no better to do.
No,
I mean, yeah. Look, it's the FA Cup. It's the third round. We'll be out. That's how it is. That's the only history. That's the only history you need to know. That's what happens. It's what Rotherham United do. If ever we make it to third round, we go out. And sometimes we don't even make it there, depending on what league we're in. So we're only there by default this year and last year, aren't we? So
okay.
The last thing we need is getting through to another flipping game. Realistically, you know, it's like, I don't know. For me, I don't care about it. Let's get some injured players or players who are coming back from injury, some game time. The likes of Tom Eaves will need some more game time. You know, maybe Klukas needs a little bit more now. He's sort of back up and running. Give Victor a rest because he's got that niggling little shoulder injury that's starting to worry me a little bit. Every time he's sort of gone down 2 or 3 times in the last few games with that shoulder. So give him a rest and just get some game times in some of the players' legs. The chances of us getting anything out of the game tomorrow night are somewhere between slim and not at all, aren't they? Let's be realistic. You know, they're not a bad side for them at all. And as you pointed out, I don't know whether before we came on air or during the course of this, they don't tend to make very many changes in the FA Cup. They tend to play pretty much a full strength side. So, look, if we get something, we get something. But let's not hang our hats on anything or start crying if we don't. That's my feeling on it.
Fair enough.
It gives us something to watch on a Friday night because darts has gone.
Well, you don't, do you? Because unless you've got a VPN, you can't watch it.
Ah, right. All right. Then it gives us something to listen to on a Friday night. And then watch when it comes out on iPlay, on iFollow later on.
Yeah. It's good at Friday night. It's not. I don't think it's on iPlayer, and I think it's on everywhere else in the world, just obviously not England, because that's.
Oh yeah, obviously, yeah. Well, why would you put it on in England when it's 2 English teams playing? I mean, go.
Yeah, well, you can't buy an iFollow because it's FA Cup. It's not an iFollow game either, so you can't watch it on iFollow. You can listen to it if you. Yeah, don't get me. Let's not.
I don't care. I've had enough now.
Scott Kent's going the right direction. He says last time Eaves played at Craven Cottage, he scored. Thank you very much, Scott. That's something.
Yeah, I mean, I have seen that goal, and
they were funny. That
with the greatest respect to Tom Eaves, he kind of tripped rather than scored, didn't he? You know.
John asked about third round. The replays are back in for the third and fourth round. So that, do you know what, that please Mick even more if we got a draw.
I'll draw. We'll get it's a bit more money to boost the transfer fund, isn't it?
We can get drawn with Man U or something and get a cup tie that's just out of our reach, an exciting one that's just out of our reach.
Yeah, that'll do.
Chris Taylor points out that Fulham do have the Carabao Cup semi-final next week against Fulham on Wednesday, so they may well be looking ahead to that. Joey, how do you feel about the FA Cup? I love the FA Cup, and I've been dreaming for my entire life of a cup run. It's never happened. It probably will never happen. But I would love us to go on a bit of a cup run, even just the fifth round or something like that. A couple of game win. I don't know. I just still love the FA Cup, and I shouldn't really because we're rubbish at it.
I must admit, I do enjoy it because I watch it right from the beginning in the pre-qualifying games. I start with Deal Town, or in the 9th tier. So I think they went out first round anyway. So I didn't get very far with Deal either, so I'm a bit of a Jonah. Don't ask me to support you. So no, I mean, I don't mind the FA Cup. I quite like it, and I quite like the minnows aspect of it, the David and Goliath sort of stuff that goes on. I really enjoy that, and always have done. And we can all remember Ronnie Ratford scoring for Hereford in 1973. Well, me and Mick can anyway. But
I remember that. Yeah,
it's those sort of stories that and it's nice to see the underdog get through to and a part of and that's the only option, isn't it, in the FA Cup or the Carabao Cup, that you have that opportunity to do so, and we're cracking both, aren't we? Let's be honest. So we're just not, unless it's the Pizza Cup, then we've won that a couple of times, so we're not totally rubbish if we think that we've got an opportunity. But I suppose we've got other fish to fry, haven't we, at this moment in time? It's not necessarily a priority for us going forward. Our priority is to get more points on the board and hopefully catch up at least one or two other teams who are ahead of us. So I'll go into the day. I'll enjoy this weekend. I mean, while I've got watching this, I've got Everton Crystal Palace on in the background, so I do like watching it. But that annoys me, though. It's Everton Crystal Palace. Why isn't it Newport against Eastleigh or something like that? I mean, that might be on another channel, I don't know, but they should be giving it to the lower league teams while they still got opportunity. We still end up seeing this flipping Premier League matches, don't we? Even
you get Everton's reserve against Palace reserves. It's not even a competitive game. It's just reserved. Yeah, I agree completely with you. There are around 700 tickets sold for Friday night's game, which I think is pretty good, to be honest with you. There's a few people whinging and complaining. I don't think that's bad for £25 a ticket on a 7:30 on a Friday night for a ground we've all been, most of us will have already been to. So I think that's a pretty good effort. It's one of those that if you move that 24 hours later or 3 o'clock on a Saturday, you probably almost double that. So then I don't think it looks bad. It's just because it's a Friday night. So I still think that's a good number to be taken. So there you go, everybody who doesn't think so. Let's do the referee watch. This is the first time we've done a referee watch that includes VAR. Dean Whitestone is the referee. He refereed us this season. I've lost where we refed us. He did at Bristol City at home. He refed us with a 2-1 loss. On the VAR is Graham Scott and Mick's mate Michael Oliver, the two VAR officials, whatever you call them. So bear in mind, if we score, don't celebrate too much because it'll probably get chalked off for being offside or somebody standing on goalkeeper's foot or something like that. So just bear that in mind when you're celebrating. But Mick, in terms of performances, I suppose we're unlikely to beat Fulham. We might, but we're unlikely. So because of that, the performance becomes the important part. Because if we look at the last 3 games, the Middlesbrough, Sunderland, and Blackburn, they're all really good performances, a step forwards, as progression. If we go whimper 4-0 to Fulham tomorrow, it's a complete joke of a performance. Then all that positivity is basically out of the window. Because, we expected to lose, but we're not getting the performance like we were almost felt like we'd promised. So we all want to win. But for me, the performance is really important. To at least have a go and be positive.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? It's difficult because, he is going to make some changes. I've no doubt about that. And as a consequence of that, I don't know. I don't know. I'm really struggling with the FA Cup because it is something that I don't want any part of, to be honest with you, because of and I say this every season, don't I? But this season particularly, given the position that we're in the league, we can't afford any more injuries. We don't want to. You're right. We don't want to take a massive knock to our confidence, but the performance is important. But the performance is probably important for the individuals as much as it is for the team, because it's going to be individuals getting an opportunity that haven't had a chance so far this season, or are looking to prove themselves having coming back from injury to the new manager. So. I've said absolutely nothing there about really.
Well, let me ask you in a slightly different way then.
Yeah, because go on, then.
If you're looking at from Rotherham United from the outside, Rotherham United are 7 points adrift and they're probably going to go down this season. Wouldn't it be nice if, let's play that out and let's just say that happens, wouldn't it be nice to hang your hat on something, like a win against Fulham or something? Because we could very well be, we could lose the next 3 games and we're 12 points adrift and realistically season's over then. But then you'd have a cup win or a couple of cup games to talk about, to think about at the end of the season. We think, well, it weren't a complete waste of time that we've gone down on 35 points. You know what I mean?
I suppose. Yeah. All right, I'll take that. But I'd sooner stay up.
I know.
Yeah. Of course, it'd be nice to go down there and win. Of course, it would. Or even get a draw. That'd be great. But I'm not gonna start crying if we don't.
Yeah. I agree. I know what you're saying. Paramount John says, yes, I get to hear Mick have a meltdown over VAR. Waited all season for this.
Listen, if you want us to do a podcast about VAR, it'd be great. We could do that, but it's just be me shouting.
We tried that.
Yeah, we did try that. Yeah.
Chelsea saw us start this morning with the only team in the league not to have a penalty awarded against us and have an opposition player sent up against us. Yeah. Classic Rotherham United.
I saw that, and I saw a couple of comments from because it was the IOC that had posted that league table, because he loves a spreadsheet like some of us do, and it's interesting because I had a couple of the comments where stop moaning about it. It's got nothing to do with where we are. But if you took the same table from last season and the season before that we're in the Championship, it mirrors it. It's exactly the same, and it's not a coincidence. It is not a coincidence. And we've talked when we were at Blackburn about some players within our squad who are kind of perplexed about the decisions that they've got at other clubs that they don't get here. John Hugel's an obvious example, because the number of times that he goes down, if he's wearing a yellow Norwich shirt, he gets those free kicks. He gets 7 out of 10 of them. In a Rotherham shirt, he gets none. And that appears, and the stats seem to back it up, to sort of transfer across the whole team. So, it's not why we're where we are, but it's an interesting stat given it's probably exactly the same stat as we've had last season and the last season before that in the Championship.
The red cards are a bit out of kilter, though, aren't they? The red cards are a bit much this year for us. For reasons we understand.
Well, but they shouldn't have been given in the first place, given the apologies that we've had after the red cards, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Side point. Yeah. Jamie says he'd like to see Kieran McGuckin play. Yeah. Chris Tether says, will we drop Victor to the bench and keep away any injuries just in case? Yeah, there's a danger though, Joy. If you change it too much, you've got players going. I know some players will want a rest, but you're thinking 2 weeks without a fixture, and that's not great. You still need them cogs turning over. Maybe goalkeeper's a bit different, but you still want Hugo to play. You want Nombe to continue a bit of form. You want Klukas, if he can, to continue playing. It is important to keep as many as you can without stressing them. I think is the right phrase. Not without stressing their bodies. I think.
And I suspect they'll want to play because they're a Premiership team at a Premiership ground. So you can't tell me that none of those guys will not want to play tomorrow because they'll want to show themselves in as good a light as possible. I think I agree with you, Matt. The issue would be we can't afford to have a Tonkin. Because then confidence would slide. So if we lose, as long as the performance is there, I think Liam and the team would be happy. I think there are going to be changes, as we've touched on previously, around reintroducing people who are coming back from injury and giving other people a little bit more of a breather. I mean, we can't really do that much in defence because we've not got that many options in defence to do chopping and changing. There is the option of Victor being dropped for Dylan, as he has done. He did in the Carabao Cup, didn't he have a couple of games in that? Didn't cover himself in any glory from what I remember, unfortunately. But, it wouldn't surprise me if that decision was made to give Victor a rest. Like you say, he does seem to be suffering with that shoulder when he's landed a couple of times in the last few games. But I can't see there's going to be much wiggle room for the outfield players to be chopped and changed, apart from bringing people in maybe sooner rather than later as subs on, rather than or starting some who have been subs previously. But I don't think he's got much wiggle room because we haven't got that many staff to be swapping. To be honest, have we?
No, we haven't. No, I would play. I think Victor. If I'm Victor, I'm gagging to play because he's going to be busy, and he's going to. He can put on a bit of performance. Transfer window. Who knows who might be watching? Marco Silva might be watching and sees a good performance and might see a future #1 at Fulham or something like that. So if I'm Victor, I'm very, very keen to play this game. But we shall wait and see with that one. Let's do predictions. We've got a few more bits to talk about after this, but let's do some predictions. I don't know. Mick, start me off.
2-1 Rotherham.
2-1 Rotherham. The game he doesn't want to win, predicting a win. Like it. Joy.
2-0 Fulham.
I will go 1-1. We'll take the draw. We'll take the replay, get into the draw, and get bad at New York Stadium. John Ellis, but would you? I think the manager use it to see some players he hasn't used until now. That's going to bring us on to the next comment. Nick thinks 4-1 to the Millers. So does Harry. Palmer's in a good mood. 6-0 to Fulham. We'll come back to them as they come through. So the talk about from today for me, Mick, is I think the club put a couple of tweets today, but one was happy birthday to Lajibola. He's still around, still a Rotherham player. He wasn't registered, so that's why he wasn't registered by Matt Taylor, which is why he wasn't able to play. He is now. I don't think he has to be registered for the FA Cup, so I think he would be free playing that anyway. We might see Lajibola back in the squad tomorrow, Mick, and for me, get him back in.
God, yeah, absolutely. Very, very disappointed that he's not been in the squad. Quite frankly, I think he's been very, very poorly treated by the previous manager. And yeah, I hopefully we see him back in there. I mean, I wouldn't need a right back or a left back.
Really, a right back in pre-season, wasn't it?
Yeah, we certainly need one, and I've needed one pretty much all season. So yeah, hopefully the new manager sees enough in him to think that he can do something for us. Because to have been out of action for the length of time he's been out of action is criminal for me. We didn't even send him out on loan. I don't understand why that happened. So yeah, fingers crossed we see him back in the squad. Certainly tomorrow night, on Friday night, hopefully if he's not going to be part of that 25, then he should definitely be there for me. So we'll see what Liam Richardson thinks about that.
Yeah, I don't know how it works in terms of league games because I think your squad registration reopens in January, but I don't know if you can just pop him straight back in or you have to re-register or whatever. We'll maybe have to look into that for the Stoke game. But yeah, it just seems mad, Joe. If you look back at how it happened when we announced the squad, we announced a 24-man squad plus one youth player. We had to register. Matt Taylor said we had to register a 25th man, otherwise we wouldn't be able to name 9 subs. It's ironic how they named 9 subs. But that was really weird that he didn't just name Avoidable as the 25th man and just have him in the squad and have him available, and we'd have had an extra body on the bench. Even if we wouldn't have brought him on, we would have almost been able to fill a bench every week. And I agree with Mick. I feel like he seems like he's always been there. You know, he's always available. It seems, and I feel like I just feel sorry for him, to be honest with you, especially when he's not going out on loan either.
I mean, he's very much been the forgotten man, hasn't he? So, and that's a shame for him because when I've seen him playing, I wouldn't say he's pulled trees up, but he's not been the worst player on the pitch. And when you look at some of the full-back performance we've had this season, who knows what he could have shown us instead. It'd be nice to see him tomorrow. I wouldn't be averse to that. And I don't know why they didn't name in that 25th person. All I can assume was they were expecting somebody else to sign on the dotted that didn't at that time. So, but hey-ho. Fingers crossed for Talaji tomorrow for a late birthday present.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that would be very, very nice. Yeah, we've covered a few topics. People have sent some questions into Facebook, Twitter. Thanks to Chris and Jack Leeson, we've covered most of those. All the Jacks will cover. He's asked about where we're not strengthening the window. We'll probably do that before the Stoke game where we've got a bit more time. But we're in the middle of the window. Anything else you want to mention before we wrap up on an hour?
Well, we're 4 days into the transfer window, and Victor's still a Rotherham United player, so that's a bonus. I'm ticking each day off as it goes,
like an advent calendar.
Yeah, like a little advent calendar, and I shall open it on the 1st of February and stuff my fat face with chocolate if he's still here.
Okay, 1st of February. Swedish chocolate, exactly. Like a Swedish chocolate for the occasion.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, if we do a deadline day episode, we'll get loads of Swedish chocolate, and then when the 11 o'clock thing goes, we'll just eat loads of chocolate.
Yeah, sounds good. I'm liking it.
Or is that herring in Sweden?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There we go. We will end it there. Thank you, everybody who has been with us today. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done already. We will be back on Sunday, back to the normal schedule now. Christmas is over. So we'll be back on Sunday evening to review what could be a famous night in the FA Cup. Probably won't be, but it could be. It could be for us.
Could be, yeah. Could be.
You know, first time we've ever been in the Premier League.
Your optimism, Matt. Your optimism. It's. I want some, please.
Yeah, optimism or stupidity. I can't work out which one it is yet, but we'll find out, I suppose, in 24 hours or so. Remember, it's a 7:30 kickoff, everybody, not 7:45, not 8 o'clock. It's a 7:30 kickoff. Don't know why, but it is. Like I said, subscribe on YouTube if you haven't done already. We will back, blah, blah, blah. That's like I've just said. Subscribe on iTunes and Spotify. Give us a 5-star rating if you haven't done already. Thank you very much, Mick, for being with us tonight. Appreciate you being back.
Yeah, no problem. I'll try and make more of an effort next time.
Appreciate it. Enjoy. Always a pleasure to have you with us. Thanks very much.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
And up the Millers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Slides into Wales through a goal, slots it beyond Fodringham, and the Millers are in front in the South Yorkshire derby. And for the first time in 42 years, Rotherham United win at Bramall Lane. On the edge of the box, a Doffin, he can hit them, and he does. A Doffin! Has scored an absolute screamer for Rotherham United. Rotherham United have secured their championship status for next season.
Do me a favor, drop me off in